Good morning. Well, start off with a cough. My goodness me. Good morning, Norma Cowie. It's Wednesday morning, and we're talking metaphysics. And today I'm going to go back to the basics because I find we can talk about different aspects of metaphysics, but sometimes we forget the basics. And I find they're always good to go after. I started understanding metaphysics not realizing that's what really it was part of when at the age of 21, when I first started learning how to read tarot. I had a great teacher, and he had devised this new way of reading, and I studied with him off and on. He didn't teach all the time, off and on for 3 years. Then I began teaching, what did I? Meditation, psychic development, and some tarot. And then I began working with a metaphysical bookstore, teaching at night and attending classes. Now, years have gone by in this. For 3 years, I attempted to learn astrology. It was very obvious that was not my milieu. Sorry, I said that incorrectly. My daughter and my ex-husband studied astrology, two different kinds, but astrology was also very much part of our household. But I couldn't hold the information at all. And I finally realized that part of that was because I was basically a psychic or intuitive, and astrology is very a mental element of understanding and putting together and working with that. And I just ended up accepting that that's just who I am and how I work. But the basics, what is the basics of metaphysics, really? First of all, is the understanding that there is a power of love, whatever name you call it, that exists in our world. I call it the universal love force or love force, because that's when I first ran into it in reality, like I felt it and tuned in with it. That's what it felt like. This wonderful love force. You could call it God. Some people call it Jesus. Some people have other names for it. But it doesn't really matter. It's what you want to call it, how you want to relate to it, how you want to be with it, what it means, how it works. And that's the basic thing. I find often people who study metaphysics get into all the other things, which I'll talk about in a second, and they forget the main quality of it. It's the love force that binds everything together. It is the understanding that no matter what you do, you are loved beyond measure. You cannot measure how well that love works for you. And even though you may mess up, or I was going to say screw up, it's like we are not perfect beings. We make mistakes. We think we're right on, but often, not always, we are. But the love force just loves. It is not judgmental. It doesn't have sort of a scale that says, this is okay or not okay. It's because you make decisions if it's not okay or is. You're the one that does all the finagling and make things complicated. That's the one thing that you begin to learn. And that's why we have different things like learning how to forgive ourselves. It's a very simple thing. It sounds like it, doesn't it? You just have to forgive yourself. Guess what? It's one of the hardest things to do when you're upset about something or you feel that you've done something incorrect or even wrong, and you beat yourself up. And it's only when you understand that in the deeper, bigger environment that you are loved for you. And in that lovingness, that gives you the strength to be able to forgive yourself and let go of the self-beat that often happens. when you've done something and you wished you hadn't done it, or mine was my mouth a little bit. It runs away with me at times over the years, and I had to constantly often forgive myself for speaking without thinking. I had to really learn how that worked, because I would just think. And unfortunately, that's because you might call my psychicness, which I really didn't understand for many years, actually, what it was. I would just speak out without really thinking, and I had to learn to stop and think before I spoke. And it's like self-forgiveness is really big. Accepting what is happening or what you're creating and doing, and realizing that you can change things. Now, the main thing I wanted to talk about is the two elements that we have. We have this beautiful universal love source that is in and through us and the world, our world here. I don't know if it exists on other planets. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've been in other planets, but because I've been reincarnating here for a long, long, long time. I can go way back in time, and when I was exploring my past lives and finding what was impacting me here and now. And I came to realize, oh, okay, I've had a lot of experience. But anyhow, besides that, you are comprised of two major parts: your mind and your feelings. The mind's up here. The feelings are down in here, in the gut. Some people are run by the mental, their intellect, their awareness, their etc. Other people are run by the feelings. It doesn't feel right, or how, all the much more turmoil. But the real key of metaphysics is to balance that, to have a balance. I recently was working with somebody, and it was quite intriguing for me, because I said, oh, your intellect likes to put everything together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You want to put everything together and make it all work out through your intellect. Person agreed with me. And actually, I got quite a kick out of it, to be honest, because I hadn't really run into that particular thing, that they saw their life as a jigsaw puzzle, trying to figure out all the pieces. We have lots of pieces sometimes, but it was actually a neat thing if you can do that without getting upset, because you don't know where the pieces fit. Sometimes we don't know where all the little pieces fit. Why do we react this way in this situation and that way in another situation? What do we do? How do we work it? If we don't have a basic philosophy and an understanding of these two parts of us, when do we use the mental element? And when do we use the emotional element? Or do we use either or any? How do we respond to life? What's the philosophy of being? Like, why are we here? Where are we heading? We know one thing: there comes a time when you're not alive in this whatever body you have. Some people have short lives, some people have a long life. And what are we learning throughout that? Now, I taught meditation for many, many years, right up to COVID, actually. I had 8 people in my apartment, small apartment, but 8 people used to come, and every week we had a meditation group. And then, of course, because I live in an apartment block, can't have people in through the door. And that's when I began to do these. So if I can't talk and be with a group in my home, I'm going to do it this way. And hopefully, and I have had people listen and come to understand some of the things that I have learned throughout the years. But there's always often what I find, and this is why I wanted to talk about basics today. First of all, recognize there is a force in the universe that is there to support you, love you, and yes, give you help along the way. Secondly, work within your own system between the mental element, which is your intellect as well, and your emotional element. Now, some people when they're working on their psychic side, their intuitive side, we'll say. I'm more mental. I'm probably one of those, but at the same time, I get the impressions as well. So it's like knowing what you actually have within you that helps you understand life, helps you understand the direction that you're going in and what you're creating and how things are working. The study of metaphysics is actually quite big. There's many, it's like in our hands, right? We've got fingers and a thumb. We've got four fingers, one thumb. Different styles, different ways, and that's how the study of metaphysics is. Some people do a lot of work in past life regression or looking at past lives, whether they're reading. Some people spend talking and they have people go and talk to the dead and get information. Some people come and have sessions with me and we can look at many different things that way. But it's like there is a life beyond what is physical. And that's what metaphysics is. Meta, more physical, more than physical. What is the philosophy? How does it work? All I know is for myself and many people that I have taught or worked with, etc., over the years, we would not be created. I was going to hang on. I'm getting ahead of my words in my brain. Sorry about that. I certainly would not have been able to create what I've created without knowing and understanding the bigger power. Prayer. I use what I call mental mind treatment. Some of you may have been on my show on Monday nights when we work with the mental mind treatments. That was my saving grace, because I used to think, how can I don't like the way I pray. It's like pleading for something. And when I learned through a metaphysical church how to do these treatments, now I call it mental mind treatments on my show because what we're doing is working with the mind, but I learned it as a spiritual mind treatments. So just a change of words. I didn't, because I wasn't a minister of the group anymore, a registered minister in the group anymore, I felt I couldn't call it spiritual mind treatments. So I decided I'd call it mental mind treatments, because what we're doing is changing the mind, letting the mind see bigger, seeing more possibilities. And it is about understanding how everything all fits together. Life is really not that jagged if you understand the pattern and the wherewithal of us as individuals and those around us. When we get angry, when we get sad, I'm just going to use those two. Anger and sad is very often emotions that we feel. And sometimes we can be ruled by those feelings because we don't understand there's a bigger component. And very often, if we can balance the mental and the emotional, it actually opens everything up. So I want you to think about that you're more than what you realize, and that there is an energy that cares about you if you let it in. You're not isolated. A lot of people think it's just them trying to do the best they can, but it's like relaxing and working with the energies that are around, knowing how to communicate with it, and feeling the love that is there for you when you're feeling unloved, when you're feeling isolated, when you're feeling really, really upset and you've come to sort of like the end of the road and you don't know which way to turn or what to do. Sometimes we get overwhelmed. And it's like being able to take a big breath and just settle and know, yes, there is more. And that there is more to learn, to be aware, and move forward. For those of you that have listened to this, I thank you. And I trust it helps a little in understanding, excuse me, that we're more than what we appear. We have abilities much more than we may think. But most importantly is to know there is a force that loves you, that doesn't have a preconceived idea. It just loves you, whatever it is, however. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done. It doesn't matter what you say or haven't said. It still just loves you. And on that note, I want to say thank you. I wish you well. And know that loving source is always there. Blessings. Bye now.